guys, it's Brandon. This is the Enneagram Talks spinoff kind of series where it's the Enneagrams meeting life. So this is part of that series. I'm discussing in a week's time from now when this video uploads will be the time that my job has ended. The company I worked with is pretty much dissolved. It's really nobody's fault for happening, it's just the way things are. Stuff happens. So I'm inspired to do a video kind of not like celebrating it, but like seeing how my friends have dealt with this, and a lot of my coworkers are dealing with this too. Seeing how they may react to losing a job in a setting like this. So I was thinking about this whole series, like this whole video idea, and I was like, so I guess to better understand how each type may react to losing a job is to look at how they are at work. The book, The Road Back to You, an Enneagram Journey to Self-Discovery, has in each of the Enneagram chapters an example of how they are at work. So some of this is going to be taken from that little section here. Type 8s, the challenges when they're at work, they are usually self-employed, but regardless, they can still lose their job depending on what they do. They work in many professions. They need clear levels of communication and lines being open. They don't like changes in the rules. Type 9s, the peacemakers, they're usually middle management positions that they take. They also tend to make great counselors, teachers. They are also regulated at being clergy members and public relations executives. They're not overly ambitious. They're a very great team member. They are great problem solvers. They appreciate structure, predictability, and routine. They don't like interruptions on the vacations and the weekends that they may have. Type 1s, the perfectionist, they're industrious, they're reliable, and they're well organized. They appreciate clear guidelines. They need regular feedback and encouragement. They don't like interruptions either like the type 9s are. They don't take responsibility when something goes wrong normally. They tend to blame other people. They also don't like to delegate. They have a hard time delegating stuff to people. Type 2s, the helpers, they are normally in second in command roles. They're empathetic, they're optimistic, they're very image focused. They like to make things look good. They're part of the image triad or the heart triad. There's also the feelings or the heart triad. Type 4, I'm part of that triad. There's also the type 2 and the type 3. They're motivated by emotions, self-image, and connection. I have in my notepad over here, they react out of the heart. They relate to life from the heart. They're more image focused. They also work in a lot of the quote-unquote people jobs because they're also very social. They go towards people. Type 3s, the performers, they work on excelling and killing it at their job site. Work is their main thing. That's their identity almost. They show up in various workplaces. You've seen 3s everywhere. Normally they do a lot of sales stuff and they're very into selling a competition. They are great at meeting goals. They value productivity, efficiency, measurable results, and they can be also pragmatic at times. They demand loyalty from people in their lives. They can be charismatic. They tend to do whatever it takes to get the job done. They may cut corners to get that need met to do that. Type 4s, they tend to be a lot of art-focused careers. They also make great therapists, counselors, and even spiritual directors, because 4s have the ability when they're in their feelings, they tend to bring people into the feeling realm. What do you feel about this? And they encourage having They encourage having deep conversations with their feelings, because that's something they value. It's what they bring to the table. They may work at jobs beneath them, or also known as the menial jobs, to support their creative passions. They have the ability to create climate of collaboration versus competition. Competition. They also tend to be led by their feelings. They make decisions based on their feelings, and they lead by intuition. Type 5s, they tend to be very clear-headed. They're pioneering. They're cool and collected. They're analytical. They need predictability at work. They value autonomy and independence at work. 6s are very sharp, analytical troubleshooters. They ask a lot of questions because they often see the whole bigger picture and they want to know, is it's going to work out? They don't like competition. They're very conscientious at work, kind of like how 1s are. They're very focused in on the small known details at times, because that really matters if it's going to make or break the deal. 7s, they're the dreamers, the initiators with what they do. They tend to be the starter-ups of small projects or building stuff from the ground up. That's kind of their big thing. They work in fast-paced environments. They need independence. They're very keen at being analytical, and they're skilled at envisioning the future for the team. They're the team players, so a lot of the other Enneagram types are team players. So then I was like, okay, so that's how they are at work. So how do they are choosing their jobs to losing that job? Type 8s, when they lose their job, may react with anger or defiance. Their need is to take control. Their core desire is to take control of the situation. And for them to do that, they may decide to go and find a new job really quickly. They go start applying online or something like that. They go to Indeed.com or things like that to find jobs. They may blame others and external forces and focus on proving their worth elsewhere. Type 9s, they tend to be numb to it or disengaged from the whole thing, kind of like when they're in grief. They withdraw away from the experience. They go into numbness or distractions around them. They procrastinate on searching for a new job because they're being stubborn and they want to just sit for a little bit. They need support to take inertia, to go forward and move on. That's their integration. They can become goal-oriented, sufficient, and self-confident. They're very decisive. They're in touch with their life's agenda. And they have inertia to move forward. Hopefully, if they integrate instead of disintegrate from their job loss, they may actually pursue and endeavor and drive towards a better thing. Type 1s, when they lose their jobs, they may self-criticize a lot more. They have a higher inner critic voice. They have a very high inner critic normally. That voice and then the inner critic rises, and they try to figure out what went wrong. They tend to overanalyze and focus on what's going wrong. They may read into everything too much. They tend to cope by structuring time, improving skills, and focus on doing the right things for next time. That's part of how they cope with the focusing on responsibilities and getting it all done correctly. That's part of their core desires, to have control and be in control and be good and pure and perfect. That's part of their desires themselves. Type 2s, the helpers, they may feel unappreciated and they may personally feel rejected from losing that job. They seek validation and support from others while trying to be helpful. And if they feel like they were taken for granted, Tom Hugh always said, for the never ever type for a type 2, you never take them for granted. Don't expect them to show up and do their thing because that's what they've been doing, because they want to show love to you that way. They want to hear thanked and appreciated. They want to be seen and acknowledged as people. For example, at their job, they may lead to resentment and disengagement and disintegration in that job. Type 2s, they can be demanding and controlling when they're going into 8, when they're stressed out. They blame people for their unhappiness. You made this happen to me. That's your fault that I'm angry. It's your fault this happened. If I'd have to do this for you, I wouldn't have to be doing this stuff. That's how a type 2 is when they're taken for granted. I took from the book Enneagram Journey to Self-Discovery. They're surprisingly aggressive and vengeful about past wrongs. That's part of their type 8 influence when they go under stress. Type 3 is the performers. They have an identity crisis because for them, their work is their value. That's their self-worth. They may quickly move into networking in their unit and get a new job pretty quickly, but they also struggle to feel the feelings of losing that job. They initially might avoid emotions by staying busy. Type 4s, the individualist, the romantic, they may take that really personally. They may feel misunderstood, and they may question deeper purposes. But 4s may wonder what their purpose is in life now. They may cope with creative expression, and they may search for a more meaningful career in their life. They may also be very introspective and analyze stuff like they feel the loss very deeply. They may run to introspection, which is looking inward and examining their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. They find meaning in creative expression like poetry or symbolic rituals, or probably even this, like I'm doing now. For example, it's my fault the company went out.
It's not anyone's fault, really.
I know, that's a little dramatic. But when I found out the job was going to be gone,
I was like, I need to save the company. I need to step up and do this.
That's kind of me integrating in one film. I need to do this stuff. I need to save the company. I'm like,
you can't. Yeah, but I need to do something about this. It's my fault. It's not anyone's fault, really.
I need to fix stuff. And with me losing my job, for no fault of my own, the company went out.
It's my fault.
For me losing my job, it's more so
wow, I failed. I couldn't save it.
I applied to the new position because I asked the work wife, and I said to her, hey, do you hope that I come back? And she's like, yes. I'm like, fuck. Actually, my first thought was, no. Because I wanted to get out of there so bad. And I was like, now I'm kind of back in the let's go. So, okay. I guess we'll go and do this. So, I applied, and I was like, okay, what if they don't call me back? They haven't called me. They haven't, reached out to me saying, anything extra. I've been looking at my emails. I've been waiting. But they may also be looking at, just the employer, higher-ups first. And then going from that point where they get in people below them. Maybe. I don't know. I know it's dramatic. Type 4s are expressive, dramatic. They may also be very introspective and analyze stuff. There's a song I listen to a lot called Aaron Fraser Nash did a song called Stevie Sings a Song from the Banana Splits movie. But he made a song called Stevie Sings a Song about Stevie, the human character in the Banana Splits spinoff reboot that they did. And Stevie didn't like the job he did. He finds out later on that the company that they work for, the studio, is getting rid of the show. And he's kind of celebrating. He's very joyous about it. But he also says that nobody cares about him. Some of the lyrics are, I guess I can sing the song. I guess it don't matter. I mean, what the hey, why not? Some of the lyrics he says are no one really cares about poor me. I came to say this based on Stevie. I sacrificed my happiness for being famous, because he was trying to be recognized for self-worth and stuff like that. That's what he was trying to pursue. I heard the studio's cutting our show flopped, and in the chorus this is I just want to go. you know, I just want to go. I just want to go. This time I had the bottle get wasted. And I hate you all. It's always a toast. So yeah. It's my song. So, yeah, it's my song. Anyway, going back into this. Type 5s, they may withdraw, and they process what's going on. They may kind of like sit back and kind of disengage from life to like reflect on what's happening. So like for my situation, I think my one of coworkers is type 5, because I can see some of this in her. She's my best friend, my work wife. She tends to, when she's going through hard times, step back, withdraw, process stuff on her own, and then come back into it. They'll research carefully before moving to the next step. They may struggle with self-doubt and financial anxiety with losing a job. Type 6s, they have anxiety towards, stability and future security. That's part of their core fear, is having unstabilized, not secure, they're not safe. That's their core fear. They may overanalyze what went wrong, kind of like how ones are. They may seek reassurance and prepare intensely before going forward to the next best thing. They might remember, they ask a lot of questions. So they're asking those questions themselves at this point. Like, if I do this, will this work out? They're very anxious. They seek reassurance from trusted people in their lives. They fear future instability from having this loss. Like, they fear that aspect. They may overthink what their loss may mean to their own future and their own security. That's their main focus. Sevens could initially brush off, losing the job, and they focus on using it as an opportunity to make things better for themselves. They need a new sense of adventure and distraction. That's kind of it's a new adventure. Let's go do stuff. That's kind of like a cool thing for them. Like, there's something new, exciting. They're spontaneous. That's their core desire, is to live a exciting life, pretty much. They may avoid processing the loss very deeply. And the next one is what each type needs the most in this situation. Like, if you were a friend of this type, what they need to hear. Type 8s, they need encouragement to keep pushing for applications. They also need encouragement to take steps away from pushing the blame on people, because in some situations, unless it's like a violation that they did or something like that, like politician has an unpopular thing about weed. Why are they doing this? This is Type 9s, they might need support and encouraging them to go search for a new job. They need a little prodding. I've noticed, it's been like a week or so. Like, I get you're still grieving, and you're kind of just like, you want to sit there, but what happens when your paycheck runs out, when your money comes out? What's going to happen then? If you don't have that, if you don't have that money saved up, and your money runs out, what you going to do then? You're going to be stressed out. You're going to be anxiety. You're going to have like conflict in your life with you and like the billers and stuff like that. You're gonna need another job. Just kind of a little general push forward to keep on going and apply. They need a drive to get behind. Like under the core desire for peace and harmony, and help them use that to engage back in life, to integrate, to have inertia. Type 1s, they need a reminder that the reason for the job loss wasn't their fault. Sort of it being like an HR violation or things like that. Like, for example, with my job, like, there's really nobody to blame. I'm not to blame. Even if I feel like I
kind of did the whole thing.
Not to be dramatic about it, but
Only because I was there.
In that job. And they help encourage the type 1 that the ways to cope are healthy but not to overanalyze and get overly self-critical, because they have a very high inner critic voice. And for them, when they're critical, they need that help back. Hey, it's not your fault. Let's tone it back. Let's get back into this path here. Let's go. For type 2s, we need to give them love and remind them that the work they do doesn't define them. It's who they are that defines them. Same thing with type 3s. Type 2s need to feel appreciated. They need to feel like they're valued. And, when they're disintegrating and they go to seek validation from people, they need that reassurance that, hey, I see you, let's go together through this. Like, it's going to suck, but I'll be here. Type 3s, when their identity crisis, they're panicking right now. And they may be, suppressing the grief inside from losing the job. So, 3s need to also hear, if I was a 3, I'd want to hear that, hey, Brandon, I get it that you feel this way. But you've been so focused on, trying to, do better and, being super, super, I want to excel. I want to, be above the rest of the competition here. But, once you get to that step where you have a new job, look at what's in here. And remind them that the work they do doesn't define them. It's who they are that defines them. Type 4s, me. When I'm disintegrating, I need a lot of reassurance and validation from people because I feel like my worth is in the. So the quotes I have in here is they crave attention. They'll need a ton of reassurance and affirmation from their friends. For friends/partners, friends or partners. But I need the reassurance that, hey, Brandon, it's not your fault this happened. I know it's not my fault. Figure out why we feel this way. We need to figure out our emotions before we. I know it's not my fault that this happened, and I'm not to blame, but I need that to be heard to me. I know up here, but here I don't know. Here I believe that I'm the fault of this. It's my fault. This happened to me. It's my fault that I didn't save the company. It's all my fault. I know it's not up here, but here it's, in here it's the heart. It's the heart. Type 5s, I would help them. I would help the process going on if they wanted that helping someone to just kind of sit with them in that. Type 6s, they're in their core fear phase right now. They're worried about stability and security, their safety net. They may want the reassurance that it's going to be okay. And reassurance and hear that it's going to be okay. Even if it doesn't look the same going forward from that point. Things they're not going to be the same as they were beforehand, but they're going to be okay. They prepare intensely for a lot of their stuff, so they may need help, just kind of hey, let's start applying. I know you may wonder what's going on, but that doesn't have to be the determining factor in this. Let's just keep on going. They are reluctant to try and risk failure. So the type 6s, when they're under stress, are going to be no, I'm not going to do anything. They're very conservative when they get under stress. And finally, type 7s. They may initially brush off the whole job loss thing and not take it personally, but they also need time to process that too, even though they tend to avoid it. In a moment, that it's harder for them to be aware of that fear inside, pain by staying busy. I think in the video I did about grieving, about grief, they do well to name their fear and own it up. Or it might be an integration I had to look back further. But I did a video about it. I did to be aware of what they, to be aware of themselves. They're so focused on the outward, the external. Let's run and do stuff and enjoy life. Let's go and do something simultaneous, Let's go to Tahiti. Things like that. the video kind of talking about what they might need to move forward and all this, their healing, what it could look like for them. And I'm sure it's about the same way regardless, because grieving a loss in the family is about the same as losing a job. To some varying degree, it's not going to be the same going forward. So with that being said, guys, that's my video for this. I will talk to you guys again. I'll see you guys this weekend, like socially, through the screens, I will see you guys soon. Hope you guys take care. Hope you guys have a good weekend, or what's left of it. I am a little better off with this than I was, like, the one I did about death. And, I'm joking around a little bit more in this video. I'm a little more lively. But, like, I've also been, like, for me, with this whole grief thing with my job loss, like, I've been grieving this for, like, 9 months. Since we declared bankruptcy back in September. Like, I've been grieving this whole thing. Like, I know we're going to go out of business. And I'm just like, I can't save this. I've been trying to, like, do what I can to save the job. To save the company. But I know that I couldn't do anything about it. But I wanted to feel like I'm contributing to, like, helping the team. I'm raising morale. I want people to see that and be like, hey, thanks, Brandon, for having my back. So.
I didn't really get that.
But at least I didn't feel like I got that. But that was kind of my whole thing. And so yeah, I spent a whole lot of time, like, grieving this whole thing. And now it's gotten real. Like, the weekend after this one, I'll have just one job, I think. So, yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to suck. But, we'll see if I get it. I'm doing it to support her, to give her the emotional support she needs by staying with the company. And maybe it'll be better off down the next road when that chapter opens again. We'll see. With that being said, guys, I will talk to you guys again soon. I hope you guys have a good weekend. I hope you guys enjoy life. Be true to yourself. Be in your feelings. And yeah, I will talk to you guys soon. Goodbye.